don't think that they've been battling that we've missed here on screen.
Oh, Hisada wide.
Hisada, can he make the corner? Somehow he does. How did he get back on there? That could not have been any closer. 0 as they cross the line, and now they start to scatter. They know it's for real this time, and I think that's Adams Jr., who's got a good shot, and he goes up the middle, 3 wide into Lacombe. Is he going to be able to take the lead? Yes, he's got it. And coming down into the second one. Yep, there it is. I was going to say, he's mighty close. Hisada sees it coming. Is he going to try and cut back? He's going to use the wider exit to actually get a good launch and take the inside. Coming down into Hans Ernst. Could he fight back? He doesn't have the nose ahead of him. There goes Jim Shedlick, who goes a little wide, banking now the other way. Hisada fights back, and coming down into Kumho, Hisada somehow is back into the lead.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Last week, we saw a first-time winner in the MX-5s, while the GT3s welcomed a multi-time winner back to the top step. As you'd expect, the former has a tight points race, and the latter is becoming a runaway. Now that we're into the second half of the season, we'll see if the other GT3 drivers can play catch-up as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the PRL GT Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. First up tonight is the MX-5s at Sebring. Let's check out this popular Florida circuit on our track guide. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, DJ, this is another one of those tracks that we have actually gotten to see MX-5's race in real life. So will it be pretty similar to that?
I think it should be, Joe. Watch for the draft to be pretty powerful around here, specifically going down the Almond Straight and up the main start-finish straightaway as well. Overtaking zones, well, you can get a little sketchy into turn 1, but you can certainly make it work, and then as well as the heavy braking zone into the hairpin. We can also see a couple of moves getting done down into Sunset Bend, but I think that's pretty much going to be it. These MX-5s, they may be a little tiny, but they are a little bit on the wide side, and so it is going to be a little bit difficult to go too wide through that tricky second sector that includes Cunningham and Tower. But altogether, Joe, I think this is a fantastic combination. It's going to be a long lap for these drivers, but it is going to be a good one.
It'll be fun to watch with that slipstream, no doubt. But before we get to the racing itself, we want to remind you that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebutkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL GC Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit them at ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
So the championship is looking pretty interesting here as Holly is now your points leader. Cervantes only 8 behind, and you can see that things are still pretty tight between those top 4. Even honestly, you could say the top 5. From there, it starts to jump down beyond those top 5. Povin, Coimbra, a little bit farther back. Michael Chase still really trying to see if he can catch up to that 7th place, not a team driver. And Karakov and Venaro starting to get a little too far behind even this early in the season. Let's take a look at the teams championship in the meantime.
Well, in that team's championship, it's a little bit more spread out at the top with hashtag not a team continuing to dominate here to the tune of about 63 points. Oh God, right turns. They have a little bit of a buffer back to the hacks there to the tune of about 30 points, but there it starts to tighten up a little bit with Road Warriors only about 12 points back of the hacks and Crikey No Breaks only about 10 points back from them. Little bit of a step back there for TTT Gaming, Unlimited Slip, and Iceberg Racing. They're all certainly in the mix here for those top 10 positions, Joe.
As for the race itself, it's a quick one as always. It's only 35 minutes with a long lap lengths. They're not going to have too many times around here, and that'll mean the pit window is much shorter as they do have a stop for fuel. It's open setup, though. Hopefully you can get it nice and comfortable with all the bumps around this place. And they have drive-through penalties if you abuse the track limits too much. 13X will get you a drive-through, and 17X will get you a disqualification. They also have bonus points for fastest lap, pole, and 3 incidents or less. And most of the drivers are just getting started on their first flying lap here as they've crossed the start-finish line. And you can see our first ones heading down into the hairpin here currently. And with this being open qualifying too, DJ, I wonder if this is going to be down to who can hook up with somebody to get the timing just right on that slipstream.
Well, indeed, you see there two of your hashtag not a team drivers doing exactly that. I think there's definitely going to be a little bit of team tactics, a little bit of swapping back and forth there to be able to pull that perfect slipstream. And as we talk about every week, no real aerodynamic aids in these MX-5s, so you're not going to get any of that aero wash. It is just all about being able to pick up top-end speed.
Yeah, and not a single driver has completed a flying lap yet just because it takes so darn long to get around here. You're looking at about 2.5 minutes to circulate just one time. And you can see some of the places there where you can go a little bit wide and delete your qualifying lap as someone was kicking up dust off of Tower. And this is the corners just before that through Cunningham and Collier. But I think we're going to see Giancarlo Lenzi among the first to be able to set a time. And I do see, oh, actually, it looks like, is that Ryan King's our first one out there right now? Yeah, he's given a big toe to Brett Karikoff in the 57.
Yeah, big one there. So that'll be really important for him. And Lenzi here, not getting the best draft as possible, but there you can see that 57 on your screen, the TTT Racing driver of Karikoff, bringing that car through Sunset. Very, very bumpy. It's really everything you can do to not be mashing on the throttle through there. Got to be a little bit careful. Don't want to go too aggressive and too harsh over those bumps.
Brett crosses the line at a 2:25.8. That's the first marker. What does everybody else do here? As looks like very few of them are actually having the laps count, so there must have been a lot of off tracks. Kalen and Cervantes, Leziak managed to finally get one in. Lenzi on the pole. Provisionally, he managed to get it last time and then go on to take the win. He said that wound up being actually pretty important to his victory that race, and that he got a big slipstream to manage to snag that pole. Wonder if that's going to be similar here today. He's not near anyone, so I don't think he got a good pull this first lap.
No, I don't think he did either. Waiting for some more times to come on the board there. Malcolm Foster comes in 7th place with a 2:27.8. Jason Larson just being able to jump him up there. I also see Danny Cervantes up in P4. So Stime's still coming in, but I'm not surprised to see a lot of off tracks around here, Joe. So much momentum that you want to carry in these little MX-5s, and that really just promotes you pushing to the edge of the track limits, clipping a little bit of that grass and getting those 1Xs.
Yeah, I'm seeing on this first time through about half of them failed to set a lap. And these 15 minutes means that they are only going to get, I think, about at most 7 laps out here today. And I think Povin's going to be the next one through as we're watching Bergquist there coming out of the hairpin. And it looks like Povin crosses good enough for 11th, but 2.2 seconds off the pole time. And then you have to go all the way back to Ryan King's to get to the next car that's going to be coming across the line. And King's was the first one across last time. No, Karikoff was, excuse me. King's was following him through, and his lap got deleted. So there he goes on to the Ullman straight behind him. Look at the train forming. Gonzalez, Adams Jr., and Coimbra all using one another.
And those are all hashtag not a team drivers, Joe. That is some definite team tactics there being played out. Watch for them to maybe swap positions coming onto the main straightaway here. Each one of them taking a turn, being the one to break that big wall of air for the drivers in behind them.
What can Ryan Kings do? He's been a little bit off of his game this season, hasn't had the greatest of results. 226.5, that's good enough for 6th place. Ooh, Gonzalez doesn't have that lap count. Coimbra good enough for 7th as Odise Adams Jr., oh my goodness, up to the pole by more than a 10th.
And that is just that benefit of the draft there. The 22 really able to use that well. That is a great, great time. And Lindsay's going to have to hustle around here to try to get that lap beat.
Holly finally puts one down, 225.7. That's front row. Lindsay had his lap deleted, so he's now bumped to 3rd. So we'll get a few more chances today as we watch the 57 come around. And this is the car of Brett Karakov, who was the first one to set a time. As we mentioned, he's been slotted down into 5th. In the meantime, we're still waiting on Gonzalez, Chase, and a Bear to set a lap time.
Yeah, indeed we are, as we continue to watch Karakov here. This is a good qualifying performance for him. By the way, the driver right behind him, Mark Kanelan, in pit lane, and I think that's effectively going to be Kanelan's session done. He is not going to be able to come out and get on a flyer by the time he works his way back around.
Here we watch Brett head out of Tower and up towards the Bishop, little double left-hander. Povin crosses and does improve by a good chunk. Povin's up to 13th now with that lap. And Brett, the next one by in this 57, in through Jean-Etienne, really sliding the car, chucking it into Le Mans. Does he stay within the track limits? It looks like it was close, but I think he's okay.
I think he is as well. That didn't register as an off track on my screen, but it shows you just how far he is pushing that little rear-wheel drive Miata, really hustling it through the corners. As you saw him coming through Tower, just a little bit of sideways action. Karakov once more than 5th place.
So as the 57 gets ready to take his 2nd flying lap, can he do any better this time? Or is this, actually, I think this is an outlap. Yeah, so he's going to have to come back around one more time. Ooh, Jose Gonzalez abandons. Coimbra does. And so does Adams Jr. So the Not a team have all followed each other pretty much every single lap at the same strategy. Lesiak doesn't have that lap count, unfortunately. And Lindsay behind him does not improve.
All right, GL, not looking like he's necessarily got the slipstream to be able to pull that off as we focus back here. Bradley Holly currently in 2nd. Is he going to be able to do anything? A couple of green sectors there on that last lap, but not enough to improve. He's going to come across with a 225.9.
Name I don't think we've had a whole lot here. Jimmy Richards, who's good enough for 20th on his first time lap, but second one was not any faster. Bergquist still down in 7th. Interesting to see some of the drivers struggling here as the Crikey No Brakes cars come across also in a bit of a team line, and Cabana goes up into 13th. Simon Doyle just crossed and moves up to 9th as well.
Good run there for Simon Doyle. He's going to carry back around. Looks like Andrew Venaro, another one of the drivers that's going to opt to come back in pit lane, maybe try to re-rack here. Couple of drivers there. That's the number 25 machine going very slowly on the back straightaway. That's Danny Cervantes. I think he's just trying to time this perfectly and be able to get the right run down the Ullman Straight.
Povin's coming to the line as we switch back to Brett, who is now actually on a flyer, unlike last time. And Povin, a 27.014, doesn't improve his position, but he does go quicker, and he's in 14th. Karakov coming down into Le Mans and using as much of that entry as he possibly can. This time he definitely is off the track, so this lap is going to get deleted.
Oh, and that's not what he wants to see. He should have enough time to re-rack here. 3 minutes left to go in qualifying, so that should be enough there for him. Jumping back to the number 91 right now as he works his way onto the Ullman Straight.
Let's not forget, too, they have they can complete the hot laps in this style of qualifying. The open qualifying allows them to cycle back around and finish even once the checkered flag is out, if they haven't gotten the checkered flag when coming across the line yet. But this is Christian in the 91 being followed by Lenzi, who I don't think is close enough to be able to pull a toe. So I don't think this is going to be helping him as the sun comes out from behind the clouds. Lisiak doesn't go quicker. Lenzi also not able to go faster than that 25.8.
Well, and he had a little bit of a pull there, so that may have helped him ever so slightly, but I don't think enough to really make a bunch of hay. More drivers now working their way through Sunset Bend. You can see the varying lines that drivers take there. That's either to try to carry as much momentum as possible or really avoid those truly treacherous bumps down to the inside of that corner.
Holly crossed the line and didn't go faster. He parked it, so Holly is officially done in this qualifying session. Adams Jr. starting his last chance at a flyer. Jimmy Richards crossed 27.6. That's good enough for 17th for him. And I see a few drivers like Berquist here trying to come out on the track, but again, they cannot start a flyer from here, so they should officially be done. And let's see, Larson not able to go faster. Cabana did. He's up into 11th as we see a bunch of cars now coming across the line. Christian Smith had his lap deleted. Bartlett Chase up to 23rd.
Yeah, and Anthony Cortina there also jumping his way up into 17th, so a good run there for him. He'll be happy to move himself up a couple of positions. That was actually Austin Bartlett Chase that you saw parking the car right there.
And I see Povin. He'll be able to start a new lap. Nope, he's going to abandon it. He's going to pit in, which means Karakov is going to be the first to see the checkered flag, I believe. We got 45 seconds left. It takes a long time to get down the back stretch, and Brett was almost into the grass yet again out of Le Mans corner. There you see him on screen now, so I'm not sure if he's going to have this one count. It was mighty close.
Yeah, very, very mighty close here. Brett Karakov, though, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get that in. 20 seconds to go. This is going to be tight run to the line, but without any draft buddies around the 57, I've got to think this isn't going to be the quickest time, and he agrees. He's coming down pit lane.
That's his qualifying done. Giancarlo Lenzi not looking like he's on a fast lap right now in that number 02. Not thinking he's going to be able to get onto that front row the way this is looking. He's going to try anyways as he flies out of the final turn off Sunset Bend into the timing line. He crosses and it gets deleted regardless. So Lenzi is finished. Adams Jr. is next, towing along Jimmy Richards, who's definitely getting a pull back there. So that's going to help him in the 66. But Adams already has the pole position. All he's probably trying to do here is just be doubly sure. No, he is going to abandon the lap. Richards will continue, though.
Let's see if Jimmy Richards has got anything to be able to improve from that 18th place position. Yes, he does. He's up 2 into 16th.
I see Jason Larson next. Said earlier before the race that he's got some new equipment on his PC, and he's expecting to be a little bit quicker, but only 17th. I'm not sure if he's going to be happy with that. We'll see how he goes in the race itself as Anthony Cortina and Malcolm Foster come to finish their qualifying. Cortina failing to improve, and Foster likewise with the lap erased for him. Kings unfortunately not able to go faster. Christian Smith, same deal. So unfortunately, we're not seeing anybody else managing to do much. Babinet, the same deal as he's the last one able to cross the line here today. Interesting stuff there for our qualifying session and the phases of improvement that we saw. But that will take us to our starting grid for this race for round 6. And once again, Odis Adams Jr. gets himself another pole. This will be his third of the season. Bradley Holly will start from second, and Giancarlo Lenzi is going to try and follow up his first win ever in the series with a good performance here today from third. Danny Cervantes starts from fourth, and Brett Carricoff in fifth. Mark Kalin, P6 for him, followed by Kevin Bergquist in seventh. Andrew Venaro is on the outside of row 4. Simon Doyle starts from ninth, and Paulo Coimbra starts from 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Ian Cabana, followed by Ryan Kings, with Andy Steiber and Guillaume Hoven behind him. Christian Leziak will be 15th, with Jimmy Richards lining up to his outside in row 8, with Jason Larson and Anthony Cortina in row 9. Malcolm Foster will be 19th, and Christian Smith rounds out your top 20.
21st goes to Vinny Babinet and Daniel Dobusto 22nd. Austin Bartlett Chase, the last one to set a time in qualifying in 23rd. David A. Bear is in the session, so I think he should take to the grid, and Jose Gonzalez likewise. Neither of them set times of our 24 drivers starting here today. We got a couple of onboards as well for today. This is Brett Carricoff, who is giving us his view starting from 5th. We've also got someone who's becoming quite a bit of a regular here on the onboard cams, Mark Kalin, with Baby Yoda helping him out there. And we'll see if that makes him any faster. And then finally, as always, it's Bradley Holly once again in his lucky shirt.
Yeah, that shirt has really become his calling card. And for anybody who hasn't noticed, by the way, he actually modeled that exact shirt into the sim. So anytime you see his driver, his avatar in the sim, it's wearing the same shirt.
Exactly. Well, I guess the fire suit, really, if anything. It'd be neat if we could go ultimate DIY, and it was your weekend warrior that was gritting up with a less than stellar safety equipment. But I guess they have to keep to a good example here for everybody else who wants to go racing in real life. But they're already gritting up, and today they've got pretty good conditions here in South Florida, as 89 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface itself should give them decent grip without causing too many issues wearing out the rubber. 32 Celsius for those who are going by metric. And we have a little bit of wind, but not too drastically much. Looks like it's gusting a little bit, though, as it's gone down significantly since we pulled this graphic up. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if it changes around and changes speed and catches the drivers out. We're waiting on Adams Jr., Cervantes, and Gonzalez to come to the grid. Gonzalez plops out there before we take to this 6th round here in the PRL MX5 Cup Series, and our other two, Adams and Cervantes, are now there. So the engines begin to rev as the lights come up. The green flag is out, and launching off the line, a little bit of wheel spin from Adams Jr. I'm not sure if that's going to hurt him. It's a very good launch from Carricoff, who's already looking to take 2 positions potentially. He's threatening on GL, but Lenzi will defend down to the inside as they all cycle into the first corner and things narrow up. A few drivers getting close to one another, but otherwise we look clean.
We do indeed, and we are 2 wide for the battle for the lead there. That was Bradley Holly trying to go around the outside of turn 2 to see if he could send anything in, but that didn't work out, and that attack, frankly, has allowed for GL, Giancarlo Lenzi, to be able to close in a little bit more. We've got a driver off in the back. That's Carricoff.
Can he keep it out of the wall? He does, just barely, and he finds some space to get back out on track without causing problems, but he's down almost to the very back of the pack. Adams Jr. still has a good lead over Holly down into the hairpin, but it looks like Holly is dealing with pressure from Lenzi like he had last week. And then don't forget about Cervantes and Kalin in the Whataback cars.
Yeah, indeed. Everybody's starting to close in there, and I think Cervantes and Kalin having that teammate to work with there, that can be helpful for them. They can play a little bit of leapfrog and keep themselves up if they're just a hair short on pace back to Lenzi.
Oh, my goodness. Brett's 57 machine went from 5th down to 24th with that mistake. He is going to be kicking himself for that one, because that's going to make it a really rough day to have a good result as they come through Tower Corner. This is often a place where you can see drivers clip the grass on the entry and send themselves spinning to the barrier, but thankfully, looks like everybody's heads up.
Everybody nice and clean here, just wanting to make sure these tires get up to temperature. Remember, track temps at only about 89, 90 degrees. It is going to take a moment for everything to come in here. They should be up to temperature here at this point, so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a little bit of aggression. And there, indeed, you see that out of your leaders, Odise Adams Jr. and Bradley Holly, going on to the Ullman Straight.
I think Holly's got a very good chance. Wonder what he's looking like on board here early in the race. See if he can overtake Adams Jr. No, he's not going to. This has become the MO of that number 184. I thought he was going to turn our leader there for a second, but he likes to bump draft. He brings that NASCAR experience up to these cars.
Yeah, he really does, and he's very good at it, Joe. That's the thing. It's not like a sketchy bump draft. He does it in a way that works, and there you can see working well for him very much as he's able to pull to the inside there of Odise Adams Jr. He's going to have to be later onto the binders into turn one to make this work, and it looks like Holly's got it through the first part of the corner.
Carried that speed well off a Sunset Bend, and that gave him the lead. But Lindsay's going to try to demote Adams Jr. one more as they fly towards turn three. He's going to have to outbrake him. He's given him plenty of space to the outside, and it finishes up through 4 and 5. Great move by GL.
Very good move there. Last week's winner wanting to try to get his name back up in the ring. He's got to be a little bit careful here. That battling has allowed for Bradley Holly to escape by about 9/10 of a second, so he doesn't want to let that gap grow, and really more than that.
Cervantes had a very good run on Odise, but then checked up as he approached to the rear bumper. So it looks like Adams Jr. is losing spots left and right. Could have lost yet another one, as I think we had a problem with Paulo Coimbra. He's off the course at the hairpin.
Yeah, indeed we did, Joe. I'm just rewinding it right now to see what happened. I think he may have just completely tried to avoid getting into contact there with the 10 and locked up the brakes a little bit, caught the grass, and that sent him into the outside.
Oh no, Karakov is also off. Karakov is off in a big way, and he's into the wall. I was just checking on his progress, and he made a late braking on a bunch of other cars, had to dive off the track, and is apparently now towed into the pits. This might be day over for him.
Yeah, it may indeed. That looked like a lot of damage to the front end of that Miata, and so not good there. I've got to give credit here, though, as, we've got more cars around in the back. That is the 170 of Christian Smith, I believe, exiting out of tower.
Yeah, he started to spin it up. Jimmy Richards couldn't avoid the incident, turned him the rest of the way around and down the main straight, or the backstretch, rather. Looks like Odise is finally going to get one of those positions back into second. Just drafts on by Giancarlo Lenzi. Now, will Lenzi, well, he's going to try and attack down into Sunset Bend. I was going to ask if he was going to try and pull the move back on him on the front stretch. He's not going to wait for that. He's going to go for it right here.
Yeah, indeed he is. He is really pushing for it here, and now it looks like Odise Adams Jr. is going to have to watch out behind, because that's going to be Danny Cervantes thinking about a move from behind. Is Danny going to be able to make a move into turn one? No, he's just going to stay in line. As watch out there, Ryan King's back in 8th. We've talked about some of his qualifying woes earlier this season, but he sets the fastest lap of the race.
Wonder if Danny is trying to play a bit of the fuel game. Nope, he is going for it now. He's just playing very patient earlier as he takes a look to the inside of the 22, but that one does not stick. He's also got Kalen in behind him, and off the track he goes, dipping the tires into the dirt. Doesn't spin him, doesn't even look like he lost a whole lot of time.
No, he's able to keep going there, and he does have his teammate in the form of Mark Kalin there back as a little bit of a buffer, so that's going to help him in his confidence a little bit. He doesn't have to worry about Bergquist making a direct attack on that 25.
Once again, a little wide there for Cervantes. Kalin right on there as Bergquist starts to approach. They've also got Simon Doyle behind them. Simon up 2 positions from where he gridded up. Little look to the inside from Kalin on the other. What a back driver. Whoa! In contact there between Cervantes and Odise. Odise spins. He's facing the wrong way, and he gets hit by Venaro.
Oh, and that was just wrong place, wrong time there for Odise Adams Jr. Cervantes immediately jumping on the radio and apologizing. I think he was just a hair late into the braking zone, Joe, and those front tires locked up on him.
I think Cervantes was trying to give the position back, but that's going to send him very far down the order, as well as the 22. And then poor Venaro is limping. I think that car might also be done. Yep, he's got a meatball flag. Meanwhile, this means that the battle for the lead has come down to 2. Holly and Lindsay. Kalen is way far back from them after all that craziness. And will this be like we saw at Okayama, where it is a mono-in-mono situation?
Well, it very well might be, as Lindsay here looking relatively content to stay behind, thinking about a little bit of a look to the inside. That doesn't look like a full-throated maneuver. I think he's just trying to press Bradley Holly a little bit, see if he can force him offline.
Well, we were going to try and take a look at replays. I'm trying to see if things have settled down. I think Kalen and Bergquist just swapped places a little bit back there. There you can see them crossing with Kalen now into third as Bergquist tried the over-under and failed. And Lindsay's also set the fastest lap of the race in the meantime. As they come off that first corner, heading towards turn 3, just a little kink of 2 leading them into that. Bergquist mighty close, but not close enough. I think we got time now for some of those replays that we had spooled from early. I'm actually curious which ones. We've had so much action. Let's see what we're going to take a look at first.
This is the incident with Coimbra. Yeah, there you can see just tried to come in a little bit deep, locked up. That actually may have been a rear lock up there with the way the car was sort of fishtailing down into the corner. Just a quick lock of those rear brakes, and he had to catch it, move it back around. This is then Karakov just overshot that corner completely.
Yeah, I think he was trying to avoid running into a car that braked very early into there, and it unfortunately shot him around. And this is one we did not see at all. Whoop. Round goes, was that Richards?
It's Del Busto.
Ah. So that he is in 21st. And then this is what happened to Odis. Almost net code, it looked like.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an over-optimistic move there from Danny Cervantes, trying to shoot the gap between Odis Adams Jr. and his teammate. Let's ride on board with this. I'm not sure if he missed his braking zone or if he was going for the move one way or the other. You can see him sort of jink off to the inside. I think he missed his braking point, recognized he wasn't going to slow down, and just tried to get out of the way and not run into Odis Adams Jr.
Wow, things just went wild there for a moment up at the front of the fields, and it has taken a lot of fast drivers out of contention for the win. But Lindsay and Holly, oh, in fact, they're going to go side by side. Lindsay's going to go for the move down into Sunset Bend. It's wheel-to-wheel action, but Lindsay starts to pull ahead. He goes a little too wide off the turn, and Holly's going to be able to cut back. I'm seeing a rivalry start to form between these two.
As am I. Joe Holly able to hold on to that position for now, but with the benefit of the draft, down the start-finish straightaway, Giancarlo Lenzi starting to close down a little bit. Not going to have a poke out going down into turn 1. Instead, Lenzi going to take a slightly later apex, try to carry a little bit more momentum there on the 184.
Great exit there from the orange 02, and he's going to try and make the pass around the outside of turn 3, which he does, and Holly can't answer. This is some great stuff here between the pair of them. Respectful but aggressive racing.
Yeah, really and truly is, Joe. The two of them absolutely going at it here, taking high percentage moves, not making some bonehead passes here, and just trying to race each other as cleanly as possible. As Holly looks like he's going to try to have a run on the outside, going down into the airpin. Can he stick that move out? Does it look like he can? He's going to have to stay in P2.
That gap that they've been given by the wreck with Adams Jr. has honestly blessed us with a chance for them to fight this hard this early in the race. They're under no threat from Mark Kalin right now. Holly's going to look to the inside as, oh, we got a problem towards the back. Doyle off at the hairpin. Didn't miss anything up front. Holly did not make the move down into Cunningham as we turn our attention back to them once again.
Indeed, Holly just stalking behind here as they fly their way into tower. Now comes the flat out section where you're not really going to be able to get anything past. You just got to set yourself up for Jean Debienne and Le Mans.
By the way, Odise Adams Jr. making some quick work back through the field. He's already up to 14th, just overtook Jimmy Richards. There you can see that group behind him. Paulo Coimbra, his teammate, who also had some problems with Rex, was trying to take a look on Jimmy, but nothing doing in the tower.
No, nothing doing there. Good patience there out of Coimbra, just not wanting to try to push his nose too far in. In this back section of the track there, Joe, in Cunningham and in Tower, passing is very much possible, but you've got to really kind of get your elbows out to do it. And a lot of times early in the race, it's just not worth the risk of doing that.
I think Holly's going to calm this one down right now, because he could have taken a big look up the inside of Sunset Bend and seemed to decide against it. Let's see if he does likewise here to the first corner. I wonder if he's starting to try and save a little bit of fuel.
He very well may be. We've seen Bradley Holly do that plenty of times as we've got a little side-by-side in the back between Bergquist and Kalen down the main straight.
And Bergquist has the inside. Kalen going to try and fight hard, taking the momentum into the turn very well. Is it too hot, though? No, he is not in the dirt and grass, and Bergquist was very shallow off the corner, still somehow holds on, braking into turn 3. It carries on into 4, into 5. Oh, no, he loses control, hits into the side of Kalen, spins off the track. Kalen manages to carry on, but now Ryan Kings has a good chance to try and fight him as into the wall goes the 64.
And that was an accident in slow motion there, Joe. You saw the one contact, a little bit of loosey-goosey there from the 64, and then again into the side of him. Just 1, 2, 3. Very, very disheartening there if you are the 64. Little bit of side-by-side here, though, as Ryan Kings is taking up the mantle.
Oh, he wants this spot. He's already up 8 positions. Cabana, though, is going to take one of those away at this rate as he approaches. But Kings goes defensive. He was on the attack. He's going to have to switch gears. No, looks like Cabana backed off. So Ryan Kings nearly onto the podium. His bad luck, is it finally turning around?
It very well could be. He's just got to sort out his qualifying problems here. That's the real thing. Kings has got incredible race pace, and he has all season. It's just his qualifying one-lap pace doesn't seem to match it.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, the last 2 races, DNFs for him. And the first race, he only finished in 23rd. So that's why he is nowhere to be found in the points championship, at least from what you saw on our overlay. As deep goes Kalen. That's going to open the door, but it's going to be a shallow entry for Ryan Kings. Wheel to wheel, they fly down the Ullman Straight. Ian Cabana is going to get a double toe as Holly and Lindsay go side by side as well. This time, Holly is going to take advantage of the slipstream and going to move ahead. But will he be able to hold that position down the front stretch? This could be an over-under, and GL's going to try it.
He's certainly going to try it. He's going to try to see what he can do to carry more momentum around the outside of turn 1. That's a little bit of a riskier move, but it can be done. Holly's got a nose ahead as they get ready to go into the braking zone. Is GL going to be able to hang this thing out? He loses a little bit there, but looking now for the crossover.
He's got better momentum, hovering just in the middle of the track there. Holly, maybe defensive, no. Goes back to the racing line. Lindsay goes deep. He could slot ahead, but decides not to. Gives him space on the exit, does not feed him out. Down through turn 5, he starts to slip up, and Holly's stronger on the gas.
Yes, indeed, he is. He's stronger on the gas, stronger and able to get away a little bit better. Then that means GL is going to have to re-rack and try this again.
Behind them, we had to watch the battle for the lead, but I can report that Kings got by Kalen around Sunset Bend, and Kalen is still chasing with Cabana behind him. Whoa, big slide there for Holly coming off the hairpin.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like GL's interested in attacking there quite yet. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Maybe making the move here up into Collier. He's going to prove me wrong and go down into the inside.
Can he get this pass done? Collier's going to be a little bit difficult going too wide, and Lindsay knows it. He backs out of it as we watch the onboard here with Bradley Holly. As this has been going on, Kings got demoted by Cabana, who just went up 2 positions in 1 straightaway, overtaking both Ryan and Mark.
Yeah, it's a big gaggle of cars back for P3, but it's hard to take our eyes away from this battle when it is this electric for the lead of the race.
Thing is, they're at the halfway point now. So who decides to pit first amongst them? Could they be faster away from one another? I don't think it really matters too much other than trying to leapfrog each other, because they've got 11 seconds back to Ian Cabana right now. Not the best of exits from GL. So Holly could be safe this time.
Yeah, could be that gap holding at about 0.3 of a second and now starting to come down as they pick up the speed. I don't think that's going to be close enough for GL to really send a look down in through Sunset, but what he can do is try to set himself up for the move down the main straightaway once again.
Tries to cut down to the late apex to get himself the launch, and it looks decent, but that doesn't look like a defense from Holly, so I think he feels safe here. Yeah, I think GL's just way too far back. Behind them, Jose Gonzalez is pitting as Kalen Kings and Cabana carry on.
All right, so some varying pit strategies starting to come into play here. I would be a little bit worried about coming out in clean air and losing a little bit of the draft. That could be a problem that you run into. But this battle back for P2 now down to 3 positions, although they do have to be a little bit careful. That's Guillaume Povin there behind them, who's only about 2 seconds back.
Can see just how much these cars bounce and bobble. The rather soft suspension of these things can not only take a lot of the curbs, but through that old airport runway section on the Ullman Straight in the front stretch, they are just all over the place. Meanwhile, speaking of all over the place, that's Kings all over the back of Cabana. We're going to go 3 wide. Here comes Mark on the inside, but it looks like the late braking is going to go to Cabana, parks it on the exit, and Ryan can go nowhere. Here comes Kalen.
And that is very good defense there from Ian Cabana, as you said, parking that car at the apex, deliberately slowing it down a little bit to prevent Ryan Kings getting a good jump, and Mark Kalen able to sit back there, have some good foresight, and push his way forward. Now we're going to have to see if he is able to keep that gap ahead of Ryan Kings, and indeed he is as they work their way through Cunningham. So that is just a heads up all around play there from Mark Kalen, who's now looking like he's trying to attack on Cabana.
Will he try, or is there no try? It's do or do not, and he does not. Cabana is going to be able to hold on to that 3rd place, and Kings is going to pick up the scraps.
All right, here comes Ryan Kings being very, very aggressive. As you see a little bit through the sweepers, I think there was a back off there from Mark Kalen as they come down into Jean Debienne, lining themselves up for Le Mans. Is Kalen going to be able to do anything here? He's a little bit closer to Kings than Kings is to Cabana.
Oh, we got to go to Holly once again. He's got Giancarlo Lenzi looking down to the inside of Sunset Bend, and Lenzi is way deep into there. It looks like Holly's going to try and cut back himself. Is he pitting in this time? Both of them want to pit in, but neither can get there. Lenzi has to give the spot up with a pass on pit entry.
And Joe, we were 3 wide coming through Sunset between Kings, Kalen, and Cabana. This battle is firing off, and just as promised, Povin joins the mix, but 3 dive into pit lane. Mark Kalen, the only one staying out.
He's going to be the longest amongst them, as, yeah, he's going to inherit the lead because of the pit stop here between Lenzi and Holly. Holly managing to hit his stall first. Now waiting on Giancarlo to fuel up as well, and I don't think there's been all that much fuel saving between the pair of them. Should be going any second now. There they both go, just as Odise Adams Jr. joins their pit stalls and takes his fuel service. That's how far back he is from his wreck earlier on. And out into the thick of a battle, a 3-way fight. This is not good for both of them, particularly for Lenzi.
No, it is not. That looks like to be the battle between Hebert, Bartlett, Chase, and Smith. Lenzi absolutely caught out to dry there around the outside as it's double wide in front of him, and he's got nowhere to go.
Oh, man. And they've got their own fight here because this is not a blue flag situation. They're allowed to do their own race. Lenzi boxed in. He's got nowhere to go, even though he's got the speed. Is he going to try and shoot the gap between them? Looks like at first he was going to try and push him through, but now it finally opens up and Lenzi is through, but the damage is done. Holly is away by a 1.5 seconds.
And that's going to be out of the effective draft range coming down the Ullman Straight. So that is absolutely crucial that Giancarlo Lenzi now has to go in double time here to really try to close back in.
There's just a smattering of drivers that managed to go to lap 9 here. Kalen, Lisiak, Richards, Doyle, Del Busto, and then a few behind that Lindsay came out into. A Bear, Smith, and Bartlett Chase. Otherwise, every other driver has come in for fuel. We've only lost Andrew Venaro and Brett Karakov.
Indeed, it's been a relatively clean race all around here, and still waiting for a chunk of the field to come down in. Kalen, Lisiak, Richards, Doyle, Del Busto, a Bear, Smith, Bartlett, Chase, and that will give everything around. I think I did just hear that a Bear is going to be coming down pit lane, so I anticipate the majority of the field making their stop here.
Yeah, I got to think this is as far as they can go. This is pretty late in the race for these MX-5s as this battle carries on for what is right now 8th position. And Christian Smith has the spot over a Baron Bartlett Chase. Kalen just enters pit lane. Lisiak follows him. Should see Richards in as well, and will get Holly back to the front.
Indeed, and Lindsay only able to keep that gap at 1.4 seconds, so it's actually expanded a little bit since we last checked in on it, so that is not good for GL. There you can see Bradley Holly, there you can see Giancarlo Lenzi as they come onto the pit straight. That is 1 and 2.
Worth pointing out, stat-wise, for Bradley Holly this season, he still hasn't won. The big thing that's helping him have the points lead right here is that he's finished in the top 5 in every single race he's come to. The only one that he didn't finish in the top 5 was round 2, where he wasn't able to attend.
Indeed, as Mark Kalen comes out of pit lane, by the way, looks like he's going to be able to be ahead of Ian Cabana, just barely.
Yeah, not only is that one close, but Gonzalez and Kings are fighting for the last step on the podium. And there you see them now as they come out of turn 5 into Big Bend. Great exit by Gonzalez. Jose on a good run of finishes lately.
Yeah, and that is that hashtag not a team that has been leading in the Constructors' Championship. So good on them. This is the kind of performance you come to expect from him. Thinks about a little bit of a move to the outside there of Ryan Kings, but Kings running a defensive line, putting that car in the middle of the track, and not really giving Gonzalez a chance to get on by.
Jose got his first podium of the season last time out at Okayama, finishing 3rd, and he wants to try and taste that champagne again. Kings wants to deny him. The guy that came in and made a splash and really made everybody sit up and realize he is typically a major player up at the top as well. What was going on behind there between Kalen and Cabana? Almost looked like Cabana went a little deep.
Yeah, I think he did, but able to gather it up back under him. He's going to keep the pressure up to Mark Kalen here. That gap still at about 0.7 of a second, so ineffective draft range. And Kalen certainly feeling that pressure. You saw him get a little bit squirrely coming off of Collier there, so definitely a little bit still to play for.
Yeah, I went back and checked. Cabana outbraked himself while trying to make the pass on Mark. Didn't stick. Oh, but Mark goes very deep, and he clatters over the curb. That's going to slow him down. Now Cabana gets the slipstream once again.
Indeed he does, and this long slipstream battle starts to play out. You can see some drivers starting to weave a little bit, trying to break that draft. There comes Gonzalez on Ryan Kings. He likes his chances down to the inside of Sunset.
So Gonzalez gets the inside, but can he hold the position off the corner? We've seen this time and again so far today, where the outside car can cut back and try and launch down the front stretch. It's going to be a drag race into the first turn.
Indeed it is, and that's going to be Gonzalez on the preferred line. I think he's got a nose ahead too, but we have seen drivers be able to carry that momentum around the outside and set themselves up into a move for turn 2. Good. Oh, contact!
Oh, sad to see it come to that, and a huge jump for both cars. Just cutting across, and unfortunately did not anticipate the 83 to be so slow at the apex. Looks like they're okay as they're carrying on behind them. Cabana and Kalen still in their fight, and Kalen going to try and also cut back, but he takes a lot of curb and the car starts to slide.
Yeah, and I wonder how much damage there was picked up between the two. That was such a hard hit on the back. There could be a little bit of steering damage to the back of Ryan Kings, but we've definitely got a little bit of a battle here as going side around. Multiple drivers trying to make some moves.
Oh, Cabana now outbraked himself. He's off into the runoff as we saw, you mentioned Povin, Adams Jr., and Bergquist as they all battle. It is all kicking off here. Bergquist is going to be side by side with Adams Jr., who maybe wants to make it 3 wide, tries to find an opening down to the inside of Povin, flying towards Cunningham. He's going to have to brake from a long ways back. This is where he got sent off by someone doing the same, and he plays it safe, not wanting to be the instigator.
And that was a smart move because Povin had a little bit of an off coming out of Cunningham, and that's going to open up the door there for Odisse Adams Jr. He's going to have a nose ahead as they get ready to break into the tower turn, but he's going to be on the suboptimal line. Can he carry momentum? Contact there between the two. Odisse Adams off, Povin off, and Bergquist able to pick up the pieces.
Thank you very much, says Kevin. I'll take 7th place. You two just carry on. But Povin falls way back after that slip up. He is all the way down to 11th. In the meantime, I thought that it was going to be too far for Lindsay to catch up to Holly, but in just about 2 laps, he's cut down on a 2.5 lead. The battle is right back on with about 4 laps to go as they cross the line.
Yeah, that battle is indeed on as here we go. 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this race. And Giancarlo Lenzi firmly tucked up behind in the draft of Bradley Holly as they go down into turn 1. Here comes Lenzi on a move.
He thinks about it, but then doesn't actually get his nose in underneath. Color me impressed. The number of drivers that can reel in and outpace Holly is a very small list, and Giancarlo has added his name.
Yeah, indeed, he has. Giancarlo Lenzi, he had a little bit of a rough start to the season, mired around down in the mid-pack, but really since Okayama, Joe, we have just seen this renewed speed and pace out of him.
Well, he said he wasn't a big fan of Okayama, but he likes Sebring, and apparently that is shining through as they break into the hairpin. He's not going to even stick his nose out. Wasn't close enough that time. Gonzalez still leads Kings behind him for those who are wondering. And then Cabana sits on his own in 5th.
Yeah, indeed he does. So starting to break out here in a little bit of couplets as they go around. And we'll keep our eyes focused on both of those couplets for 1st and 3rd.
Poor Adams Jr. has been trying his darndest to work his way through the fields. He's only up to 7th. He's still in the middle of a sandwich, which you can see right here. That's Kalen in front of him. Both of them went wide coming through the hairpin, but now Adams thinks this is a much better chance to try and send it, and he breaks a little too early. Kalen will retain 6th.
And he's got to be careful about that. Kevin Bergquist is no slouch behind him. And if Odisse Adams Jr. is a little bit too aggressive trying to go down into one of those corners, Kevin Bergquist will pick up the pieces and make a move.
And Adams Jr. just about putting wheels in the dirt there coming off a tower. I think he's probably got the red mist all fired up underneath that helmet. And will he be able to get him this time? Down the Almond Straight. Lindsay and Holly are already there, and Lindsay's going to try and make a move for the lead as he goes side by side with the 184 down into Sunset Bend. Holly tries to cut back, but he gets blocked off as we continue to watch back here in the battle for 6th. But Holly has the lead, and Lindsay's going to try and slipstream him across the line. I'm starting to wonder with what we're seeing as he's going to take a look down into turn 1, DJ. Is he going to be able to get through? This is going to be a case of who makes the right move when, and he covers him off on the exit, denying him momentum. How in the world do you place your car with both offering a slipstream on the back and the front stretch?
Well, I think what we saw there out of Giancarlo Lenzi is kind of the way to go. Try to get ahead on the back straightaway, pull ahead there, and then plant the car at the apex of Sunset. I thought for sure Holly wasn't going to be able to get on by because of the blunting of the momentum there in between the two, but Bradley Holly doing Bradley Holly things and able to get his way up on by, but Lenzi's got the right idea there. Try to lead going into Sunset, back up the apex a little bit, force Holly off that line.
This is going to be an incredible finish the way this is shaping up, because I have no idea which one of these two this is going to be at the line. Both are just lightning quick today, and they both seem pretty savvy as well, understanding how the game is played. Down through Collier, they might get the white flag this time by. It's going to be very, very close.
It is going to be very, very close. Only about 3 minutes and 25 seconds here to go, and 2 minutes and 25 seconds takes to get around here. So I think they may get that white flag indeed, Joe.
So down into Jean Debian one more time. And this time it's Holly who hangs back. It was Lindsay who was behind him before. This is going to be critical information for both of them on what this does. And Lindsay's going to go all the way down to the inside to try to defend all the way to the yellow line as they approach Sunset Bend. He comes back to the racing line, leaves the door open. Holly does not take it, though. He's going to sit in behind. Are they going to go one extra lap? This is going to be so incredibly close.
Indeed, it is. Keeping an eye on that clock. 3, 2, 1. Barney is waving the white flag. 1 to go.
Oh my goodness. They have a 14-second gap back to Gonzalez there in third, who's still being hounded by Ryan Kings for what it's worth, is down into the first corner. Holly takes the position, but carrying the momentum off of the left-hander. Looks like Lindsay's going to try and fight back. He wants that track position. Coming down. Oh, and he clips the grass. Can he woe it up into the corner? Somehow he does. They remain side by side through 3 and 4. Now into 5. Holly can't hold him off, or Lindsay can't hold him off, and Holly cuts back in front, weaving off to the left-hand side. Lindsay tries to get some clear air.
And here comes Lindsay. He's going to duck back behind, try to get that benefit of the draft. Starting to poke his nose to the outside here a little bit. Holly's going to give him that room and go defensive. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers going down into the hairpin. It looks like Lindsay backs off a little bit.
Holly has it for now. Giancarlo Lindsay is fighting him at every corner he can. He wants to be in front, but what will the story be when they get to the Ullman Straight? Who will have the lead? Who will be able to use the slipstream effectively? Down into Cunningham. He's close. He's going to send it in. He's given space at the apex. Side by side into Collier. Not enough grip off the corner for Giancarlo.
Not enough, and he's going to have to re-rack here. That's really going to prevent any overtaking opportunity he's going to have until they get onto the Ullman Straight. Now, that could be good news for GL. He just has to try to make it work here. They come out of Tower. This is all about just keeping as close behind as possible through this fast sweeping section.
This has turned into quite the season here. Bradley Holly looking for his first win this season. Giancarlo Lindsay trying to make his first, followed up by a back-to-back as they approach through Le Mans. Is Lindsay backing off? Is he giving him some space to get the better run? He may have backed off too much. I think he's way too far behind here.
I think he is as well, Joe, although the gap is definitely starting to come down. Looking at those top speeds, Lindsay's got about 2 miles an hour, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
He's going to have a phenomenal run off of the final turn. It looks like Holly's going to try and cut back to get himself as good of a launch as he can to cover off that eventuality. He's watching the mirrors, seeing what's going to happen. Is there enough here for Giancarlo Lindsay to steal the win? It doesn't look like it as they fly to the line. Holly finally gets his first win of the season.
Absolutely incredible defense there from Bradley Holly. Really, really good stuff. And let's not give credit to Giancarlo Lindsay. That was fantastic respectful battling between the two.
Yeah, Holly gave Giancarlo a nice race there as they cross the line. Gonzalez with third. Kings has to settle for fourth, but still an 8-position gain. Gonzalez up 21. We didn't cover that. I forgot that he started from the back in all of this. That is insane. As Adams Jr. only up to 6 after starting this from the pole. I'm sure he is massively frustrated.
Yeah, I'm sure he is as well. That's the second or third time this season we have had bad luck befalling Odisse Adams Jr. after a great qualifying session. The race pace just not matching and getting caught out by some very unfortunate incidents.
So as the last of them come across the line, And it looks like we're pretty much mostly done for the field. Let's look at our results. And it is going to be Bradley Holly, your victor here today. Giancarlo Lenzi follows up his win with a second place, and that bodes well for him as the season progresses. Jose Gonzalez wound up going from 24th to 3rd without us realizing it. Ryan Kings finished P4 today, and Ia Cabana was 5th. Odise Adams Jr. early in the race punted off, unfortunately, wound up 6th. Kevin Bergquist was 7th. Guillaume Povin was
Andy Steiber was able to come home 9th, followed by Simon Doyle there. Christian Leziak was in 11th, followed by Puelo Coimbra, with Danny Cervantes in 13th and Jason Larson in 14th. Jimmy Richards was 15th, followed by Malcolm Foster, with Anthony Cortina, Amenji Babine, Mark Kalin, and Daniel Del Busto rounding out your top 20.
Christian Smith was 21st, David A. Bear 22nd, and Austin Bartlett Chase got sent to the back in 23rd. Venaro and Karakov, your only 2 DNFs. And looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Bradley Holly. Let's see how he feels after that one. Got a little bit of revenge this time after he got beat out. And Brad, it looks like you and Giancarlo have quite the rivalry starting to bubble up here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a ton of fun when you get to race somebody as that close and that clean for an entire race. Like last week, it was a lot of fun, and this week was even more.
It's kind of amazing that it took this long for you to finally get that first win. But now that that monkey is off your back, what are you looking forward to?
Just trying to stay consistent as usual. But the more consistent I am, the better chance I have at winning a championship. Just trying to keep your nose clean and kind of stay out of the hornet's nest.
Yeah, and certainly plenty of hornets kind of swarming around today with all the action that we saw. Coming up next round, we're heading off to Phillip Island with an Australian doubleheader as the GT3s are going to do Winton. That's another one that tends to see a lot of slipstreaming down the front stretch. Is there yet more lessons to be taken over to their next round?
Oh, absolutely. Every race is always. You always learn something new. And if you're not, you're lying. So, the way the cars are not bump drafting and everything, you got to be a little bit more aggressive with not pushing, but passing and all that stuff, just because there's just no advantage. And just figuring out the best way to drive these cars.
Well, again, congratulations. Anybody you want to give a thank you to for this first win?
Definitely want to thank you guys for broadcasting week in and week out for us. Y'all always put on fantastic shows and always enjoy watching them. Everybody at the PRL and all the organizers and managers of the PRL putting on these series all week, and it's making it a lot of fun. And everybody in the Waterback crew.
That was Bradley Holly taking victory here today at Sebring. As next up, DJ is caught up with Giancarlo Lenzi.
I have indeed, Giancarlo. A fantastic scrap there with Bradley Holly. 2 weeks on the trot. I know a win you'd like that to be on the cards, but still a good battle like that's got to feel pretty fun.
I can't speak highly enough of Bradley. How fun that was. What a great time we had.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your mentality coming through the race like that. I mean, were you in full push mode? Was there ever a little bit of wait back and see? How were you judging that battle as things went along?
I was trying to push as hard as I could. I know Odise was right up there. I came in 3rd for qualifying, so I knew these guys had the speed. I didn't know about their consistency or not, and it was disappointing to see Odise, I think, got taken out in a battle. There's some big wreck behind us. But going through it, just following Bradley and then, testing him kind of early just to see kind of where he was strong, where he was a little bit weaker at, where I could attack, did help out. But at the very end, I was just slower on that dog leg right up to the straight, and he just beat me there every time.
Well, I have to ask you, as we look ahead to Phillip Island, a circuit that's a little notorious to difficult to pass at, but you did pretty well at Okayama. Can we expect another battle there?
I'm hoping so. Hopefully things go well. Admittedly, it's a track I don't have a lot of experience in. Hopefully I can get some Australian friends to help me out.
Well, we wish you the best of luck there, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank for the run today?
Yeah, as always, Sam McAleer. This is dedicated to him. And Gripworks Racing and Advanced Sim Racing and RaceLabs for their awesome apps and support.
Well, thank you so much. That was our second place finisher here, Giancarlo Lenzi.
That's going to take us to a quick break, but a reminder, we have more racing coming, so definitely stick around because up next, it's the GT3 Sprint Series at Road America.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're going to give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it, and that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry, and our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitor. All the cockpits, all the hardware, and that's why we want to, that's really going to reflect our passion into. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back. We are here at Road America in the very early morning, where we're getting ready to watch the PRL GT3 Sprint Series. Let's take a look at this Wisconsin circuit and see what it has in store. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. It's going to be familiar themes from what we just saw on the MX-5s, DJ, because, well, it's another slipstream battle track.
Yeah, indeed, it is going to be another slipstream battle track, except for here, the two main areas to really get that done, well, they're going to be going down from turn 3 into turn 5 into that heavy braking left-hander as they get going. Also look for a good run coming out of the kink into Canada Corner. You got to be a little bit careful, though. Bill Mitchell Bend in that final corner are always difficult, and the hurry downs as well can definitely throw out a little bit of a problem. You would think that turn 1, by the way, is a good overtaking zone, but it's not always the best because that's really a brush braking corner. You're really only coming down at about third or fourth gear through that corner, so not enough braking force to really get anything done, but it is a perfect setup corner to get yourself ready for 3 in that long run into 5.
Indeed, and let's take a quick glance at our points championship, as up in the GT3s, it's very different from what we saw in the MX-5s. Devin Horvath has been just running away from everybody, nearly has a full win's worth ahead of Pabolano, and Putel is only about 8 back from him. Then you got another nearly 10 to Christopher Rines, where it finally starts to close up. Becker, Tavitas giving chase on him, Tommy Brisson as well, only 3 points ahead of Paul Espina, and then it really starts to tighten up down towards the back end of the top 10. We also have a teams championship. How's that one?
Well, it's a little spread out at the top as well, courtesy of Horvath's YS Motorsport White doing a great job there, holding a 39-point advantage over SRT Esports Blue. Lunatic Indy Racing a fair ways back from them, and a decent way back is Lunatic Martin Sports Racing. A little bit of a close battle starting to develop, though. 4P4 with SimCube and SDS Racing Team not too far back from Lunatic. Team Beef sitting a little ways back from them, but they've got to be looking in their rearview mirrors with MR Motorsports behind them. And then again, Parabola Midnight and FTR Esports in another tight battle for 9th.
As for today's race details, we have a 40-minute race, so 5 minutes longer than what we saw there with the MX-5s. And again, it is open setup just like we saw in the previous one, and they have the same drive-through penalty at 13x and disqualification 17, as well as the bonus point for the fastest lap pole and 3 incidents or less. Right now, it's looking like as the clock ticks down to 0 in our qualifying that Becker is going to take that bonus for pole over Horvath by a whopping 1.2 seconds, if I'm seeing this correctly, which is huge around here. So he might be able to run away with this, and if he does, he will break the trend where he was on the podium every other race and then unfortunately wrecks out on the other ones. But let's go through our starting grid here today. As I mentioned, Drew Becker is on the top step of that timing sheet. Devin Horvath will try and follow him as Michael Pabolano will start from 3rd. Tommy Brisson will be 4th, and Colin McKenzie 5th. After that, it's Caleb Limon in 6th, followed by Ryan Putel 7th, and Luke Davis in 8th. Alan Roth will be 9th, with Rob Campbell rounding out your top 10.
Nico Sanadakis will be lining up in 11th, followed by Brett Thurman, with Roy Brown and Christopher Rines behind them. Dale Peterson will be 15th, followed by Corey Precker, with Kenny Rodriguez and Brian Hoskins making up row 9. Nicholas Matthews will be the inside of row 10, and Blake Ziti rounds out your top 20.
In 21st, Sean Carmody will be followed by Lucio Vargas. Alex Wright starts P23. He'll have Glenn Vanco to his outside. Eric Dube will be 25th. David Morse, 26th. Then it's Neil Alexander and Andrew Ellis. You've got Jim Fitzpatrick on the inside of row 15 and Michael Blaze in 30th.
In 31st, it's going to be Ryan Luna, followed by Paul Espina with Ethan Tavitas and Robert Go. Patrick Cowgill will line up behind them. None of these drivers setting a time, by the way. And Julian LaRouche will round out your top 37.
Whew, a lot of cars here today. Thankfully, it is a very big track, so they've got plenty of space, and we'll get the pace car taking off here momentarily. With it being this early in the morning, the track temperature pretty much even with the air temperature at 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. So very cool, and not that bright out, but the sun's going to continue to rise over the horizon as we continue. It's just past 6 a.m. virtual standard time here today. And you can see the pace car now taking off. Different makes of cars. I wonder if it'll be a bigger difference here today, DJ, because these long straights surely have got to favor those that have a little more grunt.
Yeah, indeed. I think look for the BMWs to be pretty good here. Look for the Lamborghinis to have a little bit of speed. And look for that off-maligned Mercedes to be relatively good through here. Tommy Brisson able to qualify that car up into P4. Brisson has talked about some of the failings of that Mercedes. It's a very understeery car, but it is pretty rapid in a straight line. So that could come to favor, and he could be a little bit of a wild card here.
Absolutely. So for Pabolano, you got to wonder if he could maybe finally get himself a win. Horvath has taken the majority of them. In fact, he's the only driver that has multiple wins so far this season in the first 5 rounds, 3 currently to his name. I mentioned Becker frequently on the podium. One of those was a win in round 3, and then the only other winner was Brett Thurman there, who took his victory in round 4. Otherwise, it seems like Horvath has had good control of this season, but he's got to do that all over again here in the second half. If he slips up too much, there are, of course, those who will be hungry to try and take that crown away.
Yeah, indeed they will, Joe. And I think the Ferrari here is a very, very interesting car. We always talk about it being a pretty well-rounded car. And I think that for him, he's definitely going to be strong here in this middle sector of the lap, coming down through turn 5 and in through the hurry downs. But he may just lose a little bit of legs down the long straightaways here to Becker in that BMW. And so he's really going to have to hustle that car to try to get closed up. May even think about trimming out the car a little bit, taking out some downforce.
Well, we'll see how Becker feels about that, as we do have an onboard with him here today. So our pole sitter going to give us a perspective from inside the 22. His friend even has a snack now behind him, as Kenny Rodriguez is our other driver, giving us a perspective, and very foggy in his room apparently, as he's got his green screen going. And then Corey Precker also giving us his traditional blue lit view inside his room. He starts from 16th in the mid-pack. And then finally, Paul Espina is here from way down the order in 32nd. Double checking to see, because usually he's much faster than that. Oh yeah, his qualifying laps did not count. Both of them got deleted. So Espina is in for a bit of a long day.
Yeah, he's really going to have to fight his way up through the field. And thankfully for him, Road America, a track where it's relatively easy to get a good pass done, but it is still going to be difficult for him to fight his way all the way up through the field.
As they approach into Canada Corner, drivers prepping the cars, getting ready to go, trying to get the tires and the brakes up to temperature, so that they can be at maximum speed when they get that green flag. Who is going to be able to take advantage of this start is the other wonder. Often you'll see in all different types of cars here, the slipstream's powerful enough that the leader, the person on the pole, isn't always the one able to lead into the first corner. And sometimes that has caused problems as drivers get too ambitious on the brakes and fly off the track. as the brake lights and the headlights glow here under the sunrise. The pace car now peels off, and Becker has control of the fields. He backs him up a little bit. He waits very patiently. Now he goes, and he definitely catches out Horvath, who is nowhere to be seen. He's going to lose second place to Michael Pavolano, who is well past him by the time they even hit the start-finish line. Looks like in fourth, McKenzie's going to cover off Brisson, but they go single file at the front of the field and down into the braking. No change for those top 5 or 6. A little bit of too wide behind them. Despite the large field, it looks like we're clean through.
Everybody taking it nice and easy here through the couple of corners as they go around, looking around here, seeing any losers. It looks like Horvath down a position, Brisson down a position. Some drivers definitely starting to just figure out how these cars are going to be feeling in these early morning conditions.
A little bit of a look as some of them are close there for the podium spots, but Horvath covers off that third from McKenzie as he almost goes very wide. McKenzie much tidier through the corner. No change in the position between them. Still a little bit of side-by-side farther back. I see Corey Precker in a big battle with Peterson in the number 6.
Yeah, Precker definitely trying to move his way up forward there a little bit on Peterson. There you can see some of the varying lines there through turn 7 as they come down through the hurry downs right now. This can be an overtaking opportunity in the 8 if you are very, very aggressive, but I do not recommend it unless you are on about the last of the race.
Ooh, Horvath had another little off coming through turn 8, and that almost gave a chance to McKenzie, but he was on the outside of the carousel, so he couldn't quite carry the speed. Meanwhile, down through the kink and towards Canada corner, Drew Becker with a 1.4 second lead already. He's making good on this clean air.
Yeah, making very good on the clean air, trying to pull himself ahead. That 1.3 second lead is going to be crucial. That's going to be out of the effective draft range of Pavolano, and that means Becker's going to be able to run the race he wants to run.
And Pavolano's honestly doing a good job keeping Horvath behind him as well. Horvath with that bad start, not sitting in a great position, down 1 since the green flag fell. McKenzie, in the meantime, there you see in the blue car playing defense on Brisson, almost pinching him off. He's got to be careful, got to give him enough room on the outside, and he leaves him just enough as they break into turn 1. McKenzie retakes the spot.
Yes, he does. We've got a car around in the back there that looks like one of the SDS Racing Ferraris back in 35th. I believe that's one of our onboard drivers, Paul Espina.
It was indeed. He spun off, and unfortunately Patrick Cowgill was off at the same time and literally ran into him accidentally as he wrecked. So I think one of them heading into pit lane. It looks like that's Espina. Cowgill carries on as this battle does as well for 4th place. McKenzie rebuffing Brisson at every corner.
Yeah, Colin's got a good lock there on it, and I'm a little surprised that Audi, not necessarily known as the quickest in a straight line. It's very, very good in acceleration. It can jump off of the corner quite easily, but once it gets up to that top range, it doesn't always quite have it, and he is just doing a good job to maximize in the areas of the track where that Audi is going to be strong, that middle sector that we keep talking about.
So the Merc is going to have to try and do what he can. Tommy utilizing his strengths. Oh, something happened to Becker. Becker is wrecked. He's off and he's spinning across the track. More cars having to take avoiding action. Our leader is suddenly out of this race. What happened?
I think he just got a little bit goosed on it. He may have actually caught Devin Horvath and all of that. I'm not sure. It was one of the YS Motorsports machines, one of those Ferraris, and I couldn't tell which one it was, Joe.
This all started in turn 8.
Oh, more banging!
Oh, no! And Canada corner is seeing a bit of a pileup. Everybody's able to make it around now that they get some clearance. That's Hoskins and Alan Roth.
Oh, just waiting for the field to come back around, and that was really all set off by a little bit of contact there with Devin Horvath, your points leader.
I think we might finally be able to have a chance to take a look at a replay. As far as what happened with Becker that started in turn 8, as we got a little bit of a battle here coming into turn 1. Here we go. Now we got the replay. So yeah, this began with him going off in turn 8, much like we saw with Horvath, off into the grass, and Horvath could not avoid And it looks like Becker also couldn't keep the car from stopping as one of the Team Beef cars runs into him.
Yeah, and I think there for Becker, what that was is just a little bit of understeer coming off the corner. There is that contact with the Audi and your leader in the championship, the 32, able to keep pointed the right way, but not after causing that incident or being a part of it at least. But back to Becker, that was just an incident where he had too much understeer and was trying to stay on the throttle through the end of the carousel, and that right rear tire just caught some grass, and that was enough to send him around.
Drew down to 30th because of that after starting on the pole up at the front. This is McKenzie, and that battle for fourth suddenly takes on all sorts of importance because he's now in second and about 2.5 seconds behind Pablano. So the leader is a little ways away for being this early in the race, but he's been able to keep Brisson behind up to this stage. Can he do it for 34 more minutes?
Well, that's going to be the real question here, Joe, is this battle for P2 certainly starting to shape up a little bit, and 3 different makes and manufacturers there in the field. McKenzie, Brisson, and Le Mans running an Audi, a Mercedes, and a Ferrari, respectively.
In fact, we've got 5 different makes in the top 5. BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Porsche. As, whoa, look at this fighting coming through Canada corner. Holy cow. The drivers are all over each other, and this is a huge train coming down into the final turn that's being led by Carmody. That's Dube, Rodriguez, Ziti, Vargas, right. Oh my goodness, big wreck, and we might have a plugged up track. Are they going to be able to make it through? Everybody's now trying to slow down, pick their way past. Thankfully, drivers starting to take a tow. Who in the world started this one?
I'm not sure, Joe. That was just a kerfluffle and a half if I've ever seen one, of almost a full track blockage, as you said. I think it was just some miscommunication and trying to get out of the draft coming up the main straightaway.
It started with Xanadakis and Christopher Rines. They were close together off of the final turn, clipped each other. You're going to see it on the replay. And then as they tried to get control of the cars, Peterson, who was in the blue machine, the blue Ferrari, just gets collected. And from there, it was a nightmare scenario for our huge train that we were just watching.
Yeah, very, very tough stuff there. As I'm amazed that more cars weren't collected in all of that, and really and truly coming off there. That did look like a little bit of net code there with the 6, but I still think there would have been contact regardless.
Yeah, no, that had bad news written all over it as soon as they made the touch coming off the final turn. I'm just glad that the drivers were smart enough to start to try and hit escape and get out of the car as soon as they could, knowing that they could wind up creating a full-on track blockage. This is back to McKenzie once again, still in second place. The Lunatic Racing driver has Tommy Brisson falling off the back of him now, 0.8 of a second behind. Lima in the 42 is the one that is maybe going to try and get onto the podium, and Putel in 5th is also approaching.
Yeah, this looking like they're being held up a little bit here by Colin McKenzie. Now, granted, McKenzie started to stretch away just a little bit, getting that gap up to about 0.5 of a second over Tommy Brisson, but now it's starting to close down a little bit as it closes on up here on the straightaways. That higher end top speed from the Mercedes coming to play.
We got some craziness going around 12th or 13th. I think there was another off. This time, no wreck, though. You can see that is Alex Wright overtaking Dube. And as they fly up the straight, another Team Beef car is going to be able to make positions. Vonco is passed. Ellis thinks about it, then has to back out of it. I'm not sure what preceded this, though.
Yeah, neither am I necessarily. As you can see, that 87 Mercedes, that is due, but definite damage there to the left-hand side. Not sure where he picked that up.
Yeah, Blake Ziti had an off and fell to the back of this group as somebody's kicking up dust in the background onto the Moraine sweep. So that's what caused all that checkup and drivers scattering to try and make position. Ziti is going to try and get that spot back from Vargas. He gets to the inside. It looks like Ellis gets past Dube as well. Take your pick. There is action out there. Is nearly a spin off of turn 5 from Vargas there.
Yeah, indeed. Got to be careful getting onto the power there coming off of turn 5. It can certainly be an area that can catch you off guard if you're not careful, as well as coming under the Corvette bridge at turn 6. A little bit of a poke to the inside there for the Lamborghini of Vargas, just trying to force that Ferrari offline a little bit.
Down through the carousel now. This is, again, for some mid-pack positions being led by Vanko in the 12. Wrights just jumped away from them. He at first was at the front of this group and now has just decided to leave everyone behind. Through the kink. Looks like, well, I was going to say we're all safe through. Somebody looked like they had a moment, and it's a BMW. It's Becker, and Becker collects Hoskins. That might be day done for Becker. He goes for a roll. Can he get out of the car in time? He's on the racing line. Yes, he is able to take a tow. Becker just cannot seem to escape the bad luck on every other race.
No, he really can't, and I hope he is not a VR user, because that was one terrible tumble there for Drew Becker. Certainly would have sent him around. So we focus on one of the drivers today who is actually seeming to have a good, clean race, as that is Michael Pavolano.
Becker just got loose through there. I went back and looked and lost the rear end. Unfortunately, it's so narrow down there. There's no avoiding disaster once you start wrecking. As we take a look at the fight for the 4th position, Limon rebuffs the Porsche of Putel. 28 minutes left to go. We're a quarter of the way through this race. It's felt like a much longer race already. There's a big bobble for the Ferrari. Round the outside into the kink of 7, and Ryan is able to take 4th.
Able to take that position away, so a good run there for Ryan Patel to be able to do that. He's going to move that Porsche up into 4th. He's going to have to close down about 2.8 seconds to Tommy Brisson up ahead of him. That's not an unassailable gap there, and Brisson holding on to the back of Colin McKenzie to the best that he can.
This has been one of the wildest races we've seen in some time in the GT3s. And hopefully we'll see enough survivors out of it, as we have a bunch of drivers in pit lane right now having to take repairs. Oh, and we've had Gao and Morse. There they are on screen now with an off coming out of turn 8, which has collected a surprising number of drivers up to this point.
Yeah, Joe, it's one of those corners that you kind of look at it from above on the track map and you think it's relatively easy, but the truth is it's very, very easy to carry a lot of excess speed into there. When that happens, you can either just lose the rear end as grip runs out, or maybe lock up those rear brakes and just send the car around into a little bit of a spin. We focus back here, though, on Brisson as he tries to close down on McKenzie. German Mark versus German Mark.
Patel behind them lost a lot of time in his fight with Caleb, so he's about 2.5 seconds behind. They are free to fight. Great exit by the Merc. Can he actually manage to get this 2nd place away this time? The Audi leading the way towards turn 5 gives a nice tow to the bright green 13. But no, not even a look down to the inside. Oh, but he brakes late, and maybe a little bit too late, as Brisson looks like maybe he was somewhat unsighted there.
Yeah, I think he just tried to misjudge that a little bit, was looking a little too far through the corner there and missighted, as you said, coming through. So that's going to cost him about 0.5 of a second up to Colin McKenzie. And as we said, he's got to be a little bit careful. Now that Ryan Patel has been able to clear Caleb Lamont, that gap expanding out to about 1.3 seconds. And Patel starting to close in a little bit on the back of that Mercedes of Tommy Brisson.
All of this action, even though it has hurt Horvath somewhat, as there's Vanko off, I think that's a single car incident there through turn 5. Yeah, just kind of spun himself and he's able to return. Horvath got collected in one of those. Actually, I guess you could say 2, really. But because of all the dramas, he's already still back up in 6th position. So he hasn't lost a whole lot. He's down 4 from where he began this race. The problem is, you might be able to see, yeah, the damage on the right-hand side of the car that he's got.
Yeah, so that car probably not going to be handling to its full degree here, but he's still able to make it work here, putting a lot of pressure to the back of Le Mans now. And Le Mans, I don't think, had a whole lot of damage from any of those earlier incidents. I think he's just struggling for pace outright here.
Yeah, he's inherited only one out of this as well. The biggest winners at the top of the field look like McKenzie up 3, Putel up 3, and Thurman up 5. He's been very quiet. Don't think we've talked about that 69 machine at all today. As we come out of the first turn, there he is in his BMW. Started from 12th up to 7th. Nice little top 10 in his hands if he could just bring this home and at least get to the pit stops, which, by the way, we do have pit stops in this race. We just haven't had time to think about that.
Yeah, we really haven't. I think I heard Jim Fitzpatrick potentially saying he was going to be coming down this lap. So this is technically the opening of the fuel window. But normally what we tend to see in this series is that you want to go a little bit longer, normally down to about 12, maybe 10 seconds to go, as we've got a little bit of side-by-side here.
That's Horvath. He went on the attack down to turn 5. He gets the position. Nice textbook maneuver there for him into the corner. Just slipstreamed him, outbraked him, and now he focuses forward on the 14.
Wow, at least he was until he had a big off there coming through turn 8, and that's going to put him right back down to where he was.
Somebody put tax or something out at turn 8. This is ridiculous. And it's been a lot of very fast drivers that have had issues down there. Yes, it's slightly downhill, but this is bizarre to witness.
Yeah, it really is. And as I said, Joe, that's not one of the massive danger areas that I would normally point to on the track. Normally, when you look at having problems, it's coming down into turn 5, that downhill braking zone, having to adjust a little bit with the weight of the car pulling you into the track a little bit more. It's coming over the crest of turn 6, is that suddenly flattens out, and it's very easy to spin the rear tires and get yourself a little bit loose. And it's frankly coming down into Canada corner, carrying a little bit too much speed through there. But turn 8, not normally the trickiest corner. It is possible to goof it up a little bit, but not to the degree we're seeing tonight.
Right now we're seeing Tommy in the 13 chasing on Colin in the 15. And boy, look at the sun come up now. Thankfully, it's in their rearview mirrors, so it's not something going to be facing directly. In fact, I don't think there's any turns that send them facing that way that don't have trees kind of blocking the view of the sunrise. So it might be pretty, but you really don't want it blaring into your windscreen as we hop on board the Merc.
And there you can see the pressure. He's starting to apply. Little bit of opposite lock there coming out of turn 5. That's what I talked about. Now watch his throttle application here through 6. Keeps it through into second gear, and see how late he was onto the throttle there? That's to avoid that tire spin there. You can take that corner in first gear. You are able to get it down into that, but you don't want to do it because you don't want to run the risk of spinning those tires.
Hopping onto the roof now, following him through the carousel. Such a fantastic job in this race from both of them, picking up the pieces where other people have dropped them and looking at a potential podium here today. I'll need to check the stats to see if either of them have had a podium so far this year. I think Brisson did, if I'm not mistaken. As we come into Canada corner, and they're going to be turning back to the east once again. And a little bit of light coming through the trees on them, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, it certainly is. And behind them, Ryan Patel not really closing as fast as I would have anticipated him doing, but he still has that gap about 1.3 seconds in that Porsche. So he's within striking distance if this battle really starts to rage out, and that's going to be on the back of Tommy Brisson's mind. He doesn't want to take a low percentage opportunity here and risk running side by side through multiple corners and bringing Patel into this battle. He wants to take a clean move where he can just zip right on by.
I did remember correctly. There has been a podium for Tommy. It was at Zolder, the other chaotic race that we had this season. So he's just the guy that you go to if you want to see a good result when everybody else falls victim to silly mistakes and other people's errors. Rob Campbell, in the meantime, has just come down pit lane. Boy, look at the lap traffic that they're approaching here. Completely missing the front clip is Nick Matthews in that 55.
Yeah, Nick's just going to get out of the way there for these two leaders. That's a good heads up for Nick Matthews, just wanting to get in, wanting to try to get a few points here at the end of the race, but not wanting to get in the way of any of the leaders.
Yeah, just wants to collect what he can. And you do have to finish a certain amount of race distance to get points in these series. So he has reason to go back out. Campbell returns in 20th and in clean air. Now, Rob, I think, was in the top 10, so this might be a good strategy call from him, covering this off at halfway, especially if he was in a fight. I didn't quite see, but we'll try and cover up on that if we can figure out if that was why he made that call. Meanwhile, down through the kink, look at how hard these two are pushing right out to the edges of the track, making sure that they leave nothing on the table.
Yeah, nothing at all, but I've got to give credit here to Colin McKenzie. He's started to pull a little bit of a gap. It's up to about 0.5 of a second. When they came by on the start-finish straight last time, it was downward near 0.3 of a second, so definitely pulling away a little bit here from Tommy Brisson. Now, that could be maybe a little bit of fuel saving from Brisson. It could be a little bit of tire cooling if he's worried about the tires overheating around here. It is only 73 degrees Fahrenheit out on track, but even at those cooler temperatures, you can overheat the tires quite easily.
He's got a very good run here. Does he take it? Closes in. He thinks about it, but he's just showing himself in the mirrors. I had a chance to manage to look back at Campbell before he pitted. He was chasing Luke Davis. He wasn't in a huge train of cars, but he was trying to fight with the 72. But Luke Davis just encountered some lap traffic, so this might actually be a good call for Rob and might be able to get that spot, as there is Luke on your screen right now, up to 8th place.
Yeah, and with about 18.5 minutes to go here, this is going to start being prime window for those pit stops. And Luke is going to know it. So look for some fast laps being set down here as drivers really try to push to get those good ones in. And just like that, there's Tommy Brisson trying to make a little bit of a move on Colin McKenzie.
Forcing him defensive this time. So McKenzie is starting to feel the pressure. Great exit out of turn 7 into the hurry downs. So I don't think he's going to be under threat for another corner, and he keeps it from going off like so many others have had up to this point in the race. And is it just me, or are they losing a little time to Putel back there in the 14? He looks a little closer to me.
A little bit of time, but not a whole lot, Joe. That gap's still under 2 seconds here, so Patel doing a good job of just trying to close in. I'd love to see a little bit more of a push out of that Porsche, but he may be giving it the full beans here at this point.
So will either of these two pit in this time? Little deep there from McKenzie. He comes back to the racing line, though, and Tommy can't go anywhere with his speed. He has to check up. This definitely helps Putel this time catch up to them. And down into the final corner will either pull off as we take a look at the lap comparison. Yeah, Ryan's been much quicker a couple of these laps, but none of the three pit in.
No, none of them pit in there, and I'm a little bit surprised, and it's some good defense there from Colin McKenzie. He really backed up that final corner and prevented Brisson from really getting a good attacking run through there. So very, very heads-up defense from that Audi driver, not letting Tommy Brisson have anything here.
Checking to see if anybody else is going to elect to pit this time. Luke Davis is responding, unfortunately, because he's had 2 laps that look slightly compromised. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get out ahead of Campbell. Wright pits, Vargas pits, any others. Those two were definitely in a train of cars that you see here, because there's a battle side by side between Ellis and Ziti. This is for 8th position, wheel to wheel off the first corner. That's Carmody in behind them as they fly down into turn 3, and Ellis shuts the door.
Shuts the door, not able to have anything there. And Carmody now looking very, very hungry. That was Ziti that ran a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3, but it's not going to hurt him in the long run. It looks a little bit. I also see Luke Davis, Vargas, and Wright coming down pit lane, extricating themselves out a little bit from this battle.
Yeah, and Davis got jumped big time by the 93, so great call there by Rob Campbell, as this battle has been fascinating. And the more they fight, though, the more we're going to see them lose time to those that just pitted amongst that group, including guys like Vargas and Alex Wright. And flying down towards turn 8, let's hope they all make it through this 90-degree left-hander, and they are all clean.
Yeah, they are indeed all clean, able to make it up. And this is where you're going to see some different lines starting to take place coming through the carousel, just trying to get a little bit of clean air on the front of that car to maximize front downforce, maximize turn in as you come off of the line, and really be able to keep that foot planted down through the kink.
The leader is pitting. Michael Pavolano is in. Brisson carries on. McKenzie also pits. Putel now pits. And looks like Horvath joins as well. This must be the end of the pit window because Thurman now comes in. Only Tommy Brisson with some fuel saving, able to make it to lap 13.
Well, we speculated that Tommy may be doing that a little bit, just kind of letting that gap hold at about 3 to 5 tenths of a second. And clearly it's paying out for him here as the rest of the field does come down pit lane. I'm seeing everybody all the way down to Glun Vanko coming in. I'm not seeing anybody that is not coming in at this point.
And that's Horvath that you saw just going through Pavolano, which is going to be important in the championship here because Horvath was still down, I believe, in 6th position. Pavolano's leading by a couple seconds. Without a win yet this season, Michael's going to finally get a W in his column. And, ooh, coming out, that was very close there. That was between Putel and Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is a lap down. This is bad news for Ryan.
Yeah, that's certainly going to slow him down. I would hope here that the 96 would get out of the way onto the main straightaway here, or the backstretch here, and indeed, there he does, just weaving out of the way. You can see the damage to that 24th place Ferrari, so that was never going to be a contest.
So let's see, is there only one car? Yeah, there is one car that has made it this far. Tommy Brisson. Everybody else had to pit in at this latest lap. And coming through the kettle bottoms, the question is, did Tommy push it a little too far? How confident is he that he's got enough fuel?
Well, we'll see. It doesn't look like he's showing any signs of slowing down here now, so that's a pretty good sign for your Mercedes driver.
Into the final turn. It's uphill too, so if he is short, it's going to sputter without much momentum. And there he flies into pit lane. Up to the cones, slows it down in time to the pit speed limit, which is a frustratingly slow 40 miles an hour. And he is going to find his way down to his stall. Where is McKenzie? McKenzie looks a little closer to Pavolano. It's about 2 seconds between them. And in fact, it looks like McKenzie about half a second faster than Michael, so slight gains in the pit stops.
Yeah, good there for him. Looks like they're both working their way on to that main straightaway right now, climbing the hill towards the start-finish line. Is Brisson moving? I believe he is. No, he's still stationary. He's just coming to rest in the box. I think he ran out.
Oh, yeah, he's coasting. He's coasting. He's out of fuel. He did push it too far. It was going to be a podium at the very least for him. And this is just gutting for the 13. He's going to lose a lot of positions. He has to take a tow in the end. This actually promotes a number of drivers, including Devin Horvath. So that will limit the damage that Pavolano can do in the points on Horvath here. Devin, unfortunately, about 3 seconds behind Limon. Unless he's got lightning pace in the final 10 minutes, I don't think he's going to be able to get to 4th.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. As the last lap was a little bit thrown out because of those pit stops there, but he was able to close down, but it's talking about tenths of a second here, not full chunks of a second that would definitely take him into position. So I think Devin may just be a little bit too late on this.
You know, we talk about the commentator's curse. Is there such a thing as the onboard curse here today? 3 of our 4 drivers that came on with cameras have retired already. This is Precker, the last remaining driver, and he is down in 18th. He's down 2 positions from where he started. Don't think he got away clean with this one. Checking to see. Yeah, I think he was involved in that incident on the front stretch that we saw earlier in the race as he steers around turn 5, and that's Julian LaRouche in front of him. That's not Brisson that we saw earlier, although it's a similarly painted car.
Yeah, exactly. As Brisson there, teammates, I believe, with that fellow Mercedes driver of LaRouche there as we watch the 35. Good little battle here on screen, though. This is Ellis, Carmody, and Vargas.
Yeah, so this is that fight that we were talking about earlier. Whoa, they got a spinner in front of them. Oh, no! And they all get collected, all 4 of them. Who was that? That was Blake Ziti. Oh, no, and more cars are coming into it. Looks like Gao is able to pick his way through, and so is Alex Wright, and they carry on a battle side by side after that. And Vargas is able to get going in front of them. There have been so many just crazy messes here today. I have never seen this many big wrecks in a road race.
Yeah, neither have I, Joe. And Road America's not exactly a place that's known for a lot of wrecks. You have single car spins necessarily, but not argy-bargy like we've been seeing. It's very surprising.
So the 76 and the 1 have black flags because of that. That's Neil Alexander and Ethan Tavitas. If we want a replay of that, that began with Blake Ziti in the 50 spinning out of Canada corner. And I mean, he didn't do anything terribly wrong. He wound up spinning back onto the track, and he tried to hold the brakes to become predictable, but that was on the racing line when his car finally stopped. Here it is right here. And then everybody else, it's a blind corner, so they had no idea, and they're all battling.
Yeah, and you'll have a spot or you'll have those relatives, but when you're coming in at that kind of speed, Joe, you are talking about fractions of a second that you have to respond with. And you're right there that the 50 did the right thing, tried to hold the brakes and stay out of the racing line and be predictable, but just an unfortunate situation there.
And then we got another issue apparently afterwards as, oh, whoa, just a little bit of a checkup in the corner. And you can see our 2 drivers with black flags having to head into pit lane. We've had a number of DNFs today. Espina, Zanadakis, Peterson, Hoskins, Rodriguez, Becker, Morse, Matthews joins them. Ziti now joins them. I think Ellis might be one of those that is out, and Carmody as well. Whew.
The list of DNFs absolutely racking up here, Joe. It's almost spectacular to see.
Spectacular battle as well after they got caught up with each other trying to dodge the wrecks there through this part of the circuit. Last lap by, but Alex Wright and Robert Gao. And no, actually, Robert is a lap down, so that's not a battle for position. However, Vargas is, but he's got a damaged nose. I don't think he's got the straight line speed to keep up with Alex.
Yeah, indeed. Really doesn't there. And you can see the damage there on Alex Wright's machine. Just it is in the wars. Also coming out here, that McLaren of Neil Alexander.
Yeah, he had the black flag for too many incidents. So this is a drive-through for him. He's going to drop a lot of positions. Man, Corey Precker, where was he when we just last looked at him? Because he's now been promoted to 12th. I feel like he gained about 5 positions.
Yeah, I mean, he's just staying clean here and running a race. Precker up into 12th right now. It's a 4-position gain for him on the race. And as I said, I didn't necessarily expect the Audi to be all that competitive here. So even more kudos to him for being able to get this thing up into the top 15.
What that last wreck did was rob us of what was a great battle bubbling up. We didn't have too many others out there. Everybody else has started to spread apart. So maybe these final 6 minutes, we can actually catch our breath for a moment. And Pavolano's caught his breath because he's jumped away from McKenzie since those pit stops. It's a full 3.2 next to the nearest car.
Yeah, Pavolano very much looking like to be in a little bit of a coast mode here, although I do have to say the previous lap that he ran, not this one, but the one before that, was a personal best for him, so he's not resting on his laurels nearly as much as I thought he would. McKenzie absolutely in push mode here. He just set a personal best last time around.
Trying to look and see who's our biggest gainers. And 2 of them are drivers that did not qualify. LaRouche up 23 to 13th. Tavitas up 19th to 14th. Up 19 positions to 14th. Anybody who actually qualified up 17 positions for Patrick Cowgill. So yeah, most everybody who gained a lot were those that took the Talladega method of just starting from the back.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess they knew a little bit better than we did, Joe, that this race was going to turn into a little bit of a calamity. But we focus here. This is not a battle for position. That is Alex Wright. He has got a huge gap up ahead of him to Luke Davis, about 19 seconds.
And poor Lucio Vargas, I mentioned the damage on his nose. He's dropping like a rock, man. I think he might be caught by Vonco. Maybe not Corey Precker, though, because he's about 9 seconds behind. But Vargas will get shuffled out of the top 10. And you can see how that nose looks less than factory perfect.
Yeah, not exactly optimal, certainly in that suboptimal territory that we talk about it. As you watch those cars crawl over, you can see all 4 of those hoods severely bent out of shape.
This is becoming more like something out of Martinsville or Bristol today, with very few cars getting home without some war wounds on them. And we are going to have 3 to go at the line here. Pavolano is just going to cross in time to make this a 20-lap race today.
Yes, he is. Pavolano holding on to that 3-second advantage. Let's wait here for McKenzie to cross over the line. McKenzie was about 1/10 of a second faster, so that's not going to be enough to close down the gap, but McKenzie's still pushing.
No, I might reconsider that, actually. Pavolano crossed at about 2:11, 2:10 to go. They're running 2:03 laps. You'll have about a second to spare, so it might depend on how quick his laps are and whether or not we get that extra lap. And if they do, whew, this is a track where an extra lap can really screw some people over.
Yeah, indeed it can. By the way, Devin Horvath last time out just set the fastest lap. So Devin still keeping an eye here on that overall championship picture, trying to maximize the points that he can. Taking that fastest lap, he will get a bonus point for that.
Wasn't that 4 seconds apart when I last looked at them between Coutel and, or no, I mean Limon and Horvath rather? Because I'm pretty certain Horvath has made huge inroads here in very few laps. If that's the case, he might have a little bit of an easier time. I'm sure Caleb will fight him, but Devin is looking just very, very quick.
Yeah, indeed he has. Looking back on the last 4 laps, 0.7 of a second a lap faster, 0.4, 1/10.5, and 4.5 tenths. So Horvath definitely closing in here, and now that he's going to have the benefit of the draft, that is only going to serve to help him.
We might yet get a battle here for our top 5 at the end of this race, down through the kink. Thankfully, both of them through there clean. And as they hit Canada corner, hopefully we don't have another big checkup through here with offs. Looks like they're both going to get that one successfully. Slipstream down the front stretch. Where are they going to be by the time they hit turn 1? And I'm watching Pavolano as he gets ready to cross the line. 2:04 left for Pavolano, and his last lap was a 2:04.5. I think this might be white flag.
Yeah, indeed. I can see Barney waving it there just in the background. So this is going to be the white flag lap for these drivers. And for Devin Horvath, that means he's got one more lap to try to get that position over Caleb Lamar.
I think Pavolano backed it up that last lap. He was running 2:03s easily. So yeah, he's trying to shorten this race a little bit. I wonder if he also has to be concerned about fuel. If that's the case, and it does go an extra lap, McKenzie's still pushing. McKenzie's still at full tilt. He could sneak a win in here, maybe.
Yeah, he could. This isn't done quite yet. That gap is certainly coming down a little bit. It's under 2 seconds now.
Oh, and we got somebody off. Not sure who that was there. It's the 87. That is Eric Dube, who had an issue. He's the first car a lap down. So our leader's going by him as Pavolano now takes it around the carousel. It's down to 1.7 seconds. Oh, it's going back up to 1.9. See what it looks like down the kettle bottoms. Oh, I think Pavolano's nervous here.
Yeah, it's coming down. Is he trying to coast a little bit on fuel? This could get a little bit hairy here, Joe.
1.6, 1.5 seconds under braking down into Canada corner. Does he have the fuel to get to the finish here? As he approaches the final turn, again, it's uphill. It's starting to go back up. I think he looks clean. His 4-second buffer wound up being exactly what he needed, it looks like. As they approach the line, Michael Pavolano is going to be your winner here today at Road America. McKenzie follows him across, just under 2 seconds behind for podium. Putel up 4 spots to take third.
And behind him, it looks like Devin Horvath is going to have to settle for 5th place and the fastest lap, as he was unable to get by Caleb Lamont at the line.
Vargas got overtaken by Vonco here on the last lap. The speed just not there. His last couple, 206, 206, 207. Vonco running clean 205s and just breezes past.
Yeah, indeed, a little bit of a closer one here back in the pack. Oh, that's the 17th place. I think that is Blaze, Michael Blaze off.
Yep. He spun coming off of turn 6 and hit the wall a little bit. He loses 1 spot. And Lima knew that Horvath was coming. He got on the radio, said, I saw you coming like crazy, and I was pushing. And that wound up saving his bacon for a 4th place. Well, looks like that's all of our battles done. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around. We have more to come here for the PRL GT3 Sprint Series.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
Welcome back to Road America. We had a very unusual race here today in the early morning sun, but it was Michael Pavolano who finally got a win and gained some ground on Devin Horvath in the championship. Colin McKenzie wound up in 2nd with Ryan Putel in 3rd. Caleb Lamont was trying his hardest to hold back Horvath and was just barely able to by 0.2 of a second to take 4th. Horvath recovering after getting caught up in multiple incidents and winding up in 5th. Brett Thurman was 6th as Rob Campbell up 3 spots for 7th. Luke Davis wound up in 8th as Alex Wright, 23rd to 9th, was followed by Glenn Fonco, 24th to 10th.
In 11th place, it was Lucio Vargas, who was up 11 spots, followed by Corey Precker with Julian LaRouche and Ethan Tavitas. Neil Alexander was 15th with Tommy Brisson and Patrick Cowgill. Michael Blaze was your last driver on the lead lap in 18th with Eric Dube and Ryan Luna behind them.
After that, in 21st, it is Fitzpatrick with Ellis following him. Ellis 3 laps down. Alan Roth was 23rd, and Blake Ziti was one of our DNFs today. From there, you get a few finishers in and amongst them, but otherwise, all the way to 37th, it was a lot of drivers that were left to lick their wounds. But Pavolano is going to take the victory, and we are ready to chat with him, as the number 101 machine was able to survive where others were not. Michael, it was a attrition-filled race today, and good timing for you. A victory allows you to close up on Horvath in the points. How's it feel?
It was, Joe. Yeah, it felt great. Like you said, I just try to keep it clean there, and I lucked out, capitalized on some mistakes, and happy to get the win.
No doubt on that. Is you did start up towards the front, though, so you definitely had the pace today, even if they didn't have issues. Clearly, you were kind of in the hunt. So once you inherited that lead, what was going through your mind?
Just keep it clean, but keep it at a good pace, because I was looking at the relative, and the guys that were chasing me, especially Colin and Tommy, they must have had one hell of a race there, because they were very close, but they were keeping me honest. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't lose it. The BMW actually today felt weird, because during the week while I was practicing, the car had good grip, but today I noticed that there really wasn't. I was playing around with a lot of different setups during the practice, and the carousel was very tricky today, even the whole race. So I just try to keep it clean.
Well, the other thing that I'm curious about is those last 2 laps don't look quite as fast as the previous ones. Were you trying to shorten this race a little bit? Were you not? Did you not have enough fuel for that extra one?
No, I did have fuel. I think it was just lack of concentration. I think it was second to the last lap. I missed my braking point, and I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just looking at my fuel, but I knew I had enough. So it was just a mistake on my end. I thought I was going to go in the grass, but luckily I saved it.
Well, this is the first chip away at the lead of Horvath. You've got at least some inroads on looking towards the championship. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's win?
Yeah, my family, my wife and kids, you guys for a great broadcast, PRL, and the gang at the BMW Car Club of America.
That was Michael Pavolano getting his first win of the season, and he was followed by Colin McKenzie in the number 15 as DJ has caught up with our second place finisher.
I have Colin able to get the Audi up here into P2 in what was a very, very chaotic race. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, what a race to begin with, just from the start here. And I know Drew wanted to get off to a really hot start there, and trying to get to Devon, and then a couple laps in, it was unfortunate, but Michael was able to take off, and Brisson, oh my God, I mean. Tommy was all over me for most of the race, and at one point he was backing off, so I knew he was just trying to save fuel. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Fortunately for me, it put me on the podium, so I'm definitely happy about that.
Well, at the end there, it looked like you were in full push mode, starting to close down a little bit on Pavolano at the head. Were you really going all out?
I think I wasn't really focused more on Pavolano, but on Pucel right behind me. I mean, he kept me honest big time. He was continuing to gain on me, and at one point I was okay with just getting on the podium. But then at the top of 6, all of a sudden I gained about a second and a half on Pavolano, and I was like, oh, this could be a shot. But I didn't really want to ruin it at the end. So whatever happened. But I could say I was pushing just a little bit more so to hold that P2 than try to be P1.
Well, as we look ahead here a little bit, going to I believe Winton next for you guys, a new track. Do you own it? How do you think it's going to go?
Have yet to race it. I think it'll be okay. I think everyone's kind of said the same thing about Knock Hill last season, but I think I was able to go P4 at Knock Hill last season. So we'll put some time into the track. Luckily, the boys over at Lunatic will get a bunch of laps in. So hopefully it'll be super competitive next week.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world there, Colin. But anybody you'd like to thank for this run here tonight?
Yeah, thank all the boys over at Lunatic. Thank our partners over at Martin Sports, Indy Auto Sport, Moonlight Speed Concepts for continuing to support us throughout this in the league. And thanks to PRL for putting it on, and for you guys for broadcasting it. Always a pleasure listening to you guys call the races.
Well, it is our absolute pleasure. And thank you and congratulations once again, Colin.
Thanks, guys.
That was Colin McKenzie, your second place finisher here today. And I believe, Joe, you have caught up quickly with Devin Horvath.
Indeed. And Devin, man, that was a rough one. But talk to us about that experience having to come back through the field with those two incidents there on, I think, lap 2, correct?
Yeah. I'm glad I just made it to the finish. I did a few official races yesterday, and it didn't go very well then either. So I'm glad to come in 5th and come back come in with some good points. So.
And I believe this is the first time that Michael has beat you on track. So he's made a little bit of inroads on your points lead. Does that give you any cause for concern for the second half of the season, or do you still feel pretty safe?
No, I feel pretty confident still. It's been a pretty good season. I mean, the couple incidents today was just it was just racing. It's going to happen. So, but put that behind me and focus on next week, and hopefully we can be back on top.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. You still managed the top 5, which was pretty impressive. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for managing that?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the YS Motorsports team, Ethan, Sean, the rest of the teammates, also my family, and for you guys for putting on such a great broadcast.
That was Devin Horvath, your 5th place finisher here today, which is going to wrap us up. Before we go, we want to thank the sponsors as well, which includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we mentioned, next time out, it's going to be a doubleheader at Australia, Phillip Island, and Winton. That'll be Monday, May 2nd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And in just a few minutes' time, the Porsche Owners Club goes to the Charlotte Roval. That'll be at 11 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.